Good afternoon. This is day 5, and I apologise I missed day 4. So today's video about Mental Health Awareness Week is a two-in-one. So day 4 and day 5. The reason I didn't do one yesterday is I was ridiculously busy doing nothing. I tidied the flat and caught up with some washing and things like this. And I woke up this morning and everything that I cleaned is now back in a pile of washing or washing up. So it sort of seems to be a bit of a waste of time at the moment. Um, I did have a set to do yesterday. What I was going to talk about, and it was basically I was going to go and grasp of what would I'm not here to give advice. I'm not here to say you need to do this, you need to do that. But from my personal view of what I would like to happen, um, one of them I think is one of the top ones is fairness. Because we still have people that don't understand about mental health. We don't understand that people raising money to Mind or any other mental health charity, they don't seem to understand, well, why, what's happening. We need better education. Um, I'm not saying that there should be perhaps a syllabus in schools. I'm not saying that at all, but I think the education. Let's think back. When I was growing up, and I'm not saying this at all, but when I was growing up, we had public service announcements, PSAs, and they used to frighten the crap out of me. The electricity one, I don't know if people of certain age might remember this, where the boy kicks the football and it goes into the electricity generator, and he goes to grab the football, but he grabs onto something else first of all to get some balance, and basically gets fried. And the same one with and then obviously that little kid, that his little brother, runs after him, and he's the one he then gets electrocuted. Then there's the one with the frisbee and things like this. Then there's the water one, where we're basically told not to go near still water. It may look appealing to jump in and think, but there's anything in that water. That one really frightened me because you had the moniker of death standing there waiting for children or anyone really to jump in to claim their life. So once again, I'm not saying that we should have PSAs regarding mental health, but it would be nice to actually have people talk about mental health and not just on social media, but actually in the mainstream. Now, what we're using now, the things like um, social media sides of things, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, in about 20, 30 years' time, they could become mainstream. Look at YouTube, which I use for this. They're becoming very mainstream. It may seem weird because you're thinking, well, but I've still got to log in and things like that. Yeah, you have. But I can get YouTube on my TV just by telling my remote control to do it. Literally just press a button and say YouTube, and my TV will bring up YouTube. I could do it. I could do it with any channel I want. I can put BBC. Sorry, I can say BBC, and it will bring me up the BBC, ITV, Channel 4. So YouTube is becoming sort of part of the main. It will become less an app and more an official channel for us to use, and we will have influencers that we called now, but they would probably likely be the presenters of their own show. So similar to Matt. Can't think of his surname now, but Jeremy Vine. He's got his own show now, the Jeremy Vine Show, and things could be like that. But we need something now. We don't want something in 20 years. Sorry, we don't need something in 20 years. We need a voice being put on the mainstream, and the odd interview, across the pond, and then we're someone over here is not good enough. We need it to be available, sort of almost on a daily basis. We need that one person to have a big influence over people, where people go, oh, do you know what? I liked him in that film, or I liked him doing this and that, whatever. And then they actually listen to him. And I think then we would start getting better a better sort of knowledge of it, a better knowledge of how mental health works, about how mental health destroys not just the sufferer's life, but people around it. It could really affect people around them. Once we get a society that understands that, there's going to be small pockets of people that are still say, well, if you smile more, whatever. They're going to just keep saying the old cliches. That's you're never going to stop them. You only stop them through their own actions. So basically, they think that by smiling, they won't be suffer of depression. By going outside and going for walks and things like this, they won't become a sufferer of anxiety. What they don't realize is that it can creep up on you. Something can change that. And as I said on the last video, the reason that people suffer from depression is a whole range of different things. It could be a loss of a job. That seems menial. Why would you get depressed over that? It's something you don't control. And that loss of a job could have been your dream job. Or you're in your dream job and you're not getting any sort of bookings or anything like this. So let's say you're a really good, let's say, writer. You've sold a few books, you've sold a couple of scripts, and you're happy. And you don't realise then that when people say, actually, do you know what? Not anymore. Depression will creep up on you. Now, I write because it actually relieves me of symptoms. However, that doesn't mean that when I stop writing, I'm automatically back to being depressed. I will always suffer from depression. And it really comes on weird, because though my writing and and listening to music relieves some of the symptoms, they can really elevate the symptoms when I get a sort of block, when I go, oh, where do I take this story now? Or where do I take this now? And off the top of my head, I can't think, so I have to stop. And I genuinely have to stop writing and perhaps start another work in progress. And I can tell you now, on this laptop, I've got 7 works in progresses. Works in progress. I've got 7 WIPs. And yeah, it's really, really hard. But we do need a better education of mental health. Even myself, I can be very ignorant of other people's mental health, because I think as a sufferer, you sort of tend to be more inward thinking. So, myself, I know what possibly started my depression. I know what definitely started my anxiety. But what did it for someone else? And that's why I try not to tell people, well, you need to do this, and this. What I say is, I'd say it on my own personal experience. I'll say to someone, look, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I did this. I went to a medical expert, a doctor, a GP, and I spoke to them and then took it from there. And that's all I can give you. But some people can't do that. Some people can't even go to a medical expert because their anxiety is too far deep. It's so deep in them that they don't want to leave the where they are. Their depression is so embedded that they think that someone else is not going to understand and believe them, which once again then brings you back to the anxiety. But as I say, there's many forms of mental health. It's not just those two. So that's what I would like, but I'm afraid I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. But mainstream media mainstream media has been changing now for what, 5-10 years, and it will change more. It will change more, and the TV, which is the most popular form of mainstream media, is will it become obsolete? Perhaps it would become obsolete. Perhaps we do everything online, so the internet would then take over. And instead of having channels, we do have separate apps. So if you wanted to subscribe to a certain channel, you have to download an app on your tablet or your personal computer or whatever, or even a wall. Technology might be so vast that TVs are built in on houses. I know there are some that already do it, but they're actually sort of become part of the spec instead of it being included. Things change. Technology changes sort of almost on a daily basis, and and new apps are being developed all the time. You think of all the money, people spend tens of thousands of pounds in building apps, and then they spend more updating them sort of every so often, and some of these apps are then available to you free, but then obviously you've got the adverts, and they've got your information, so they sort of then say, well, our terms and conditions say that we give that information to this company, or vice versa. So I seem to be talking about more about social media now than mental health. Also, one thing about my personal experience with mental health, and this sort of happened, um, this happened last night, was I had a shower yesterday afternoon because it was blisteringly hot yesterday. So I had a shower yesterday afternoon, and it was pointless. I dabbed myself down on whatever, put some sort of light, airy clothes on. I'm wearing black today, but it's actually quite cool in the flat today, so that's fine. But I was forced to then have a shower yesterday evening at around 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So shower's always on, sort of usually really hot because I love a decent hot shower. But last night I was sort of half the heat, so I had a lukewarm shower, and it was just horrendous because as soon as I got out, I was just dripping of sweat. And I've had to make my bed again. So I've got new clean sheets, and I've got an airy duvet anyway. I've got a sort of a light duvet. I never have heavy duvets. So even in the winter, I'm just stupidly hot anyway. I'm like a walk-in radiator. Anyway, so that actually made me it sort of upset me that no matter what I tried, it just wasn't working. I was still hot. I was, and that really exasperates then the depression side of it, because I'm thinking, oh, do I want to sleep? Will I sleep? And then that brings in the anxiety of, oh, no one's going to come near me because I'm a bit whiffy, and I had a shower 5 minutes ago, or whatever, 5 minutes before I started this video. And it's quite a breezy day today. So yes, the sun is out, but it's a breezy day, and as I say, this is quite cool in the flats, and I'm actually tolerant to this t-shirt. I'm not having to go and try and find something light and airy. I'm actually able to tolerate this t-shirt. I'm not sweating or anything like this. So yeah, that certainly exasperates everything that happens. So, but thank you very much for watching. Anyone that has watched, I really do appreciate it. I would appreciate it even more if you are a newcomer and you're watching day 4 and 5. This is day 4 and 5. I apologise for yesterday. But this is Mental Health Awareness Week, and not to take anything away, but there seems to be a lot more done regarding the bullying awareness that is held. That seems to get a lot of coverage. While me personally, I haven't seen any coverage regarding mental health awareness that hasn't involved social media. That needs to change. Toodle pip.